But so far in qualifying, Levitius has the pole position time, although JDJ has gone 1.5 tenths purple through sector 3. So will we see JDJ overthrown Levitius and claim top position in qualifying? He's coming around the final corner now. Oh, he goes a little bit wide. Has that cost him? No. No, it hasn't, because he's on pole position with a 1 minute 44.7. Fantastic lap from JDJ. Has Levitius got an answer for it though, as he comes around the final corner now? And he does go quicker, but he is still 3 tenths down on the 1.5 tenths down on the pole sitter, with VSR Richard sandwiched between the two of them, and he's remained just under 1 tenth down on JDJ, who has set his last lap time. Looks like VSR Richard has completed his qualifying as well. Levitius decides to come in, and we got Papaya Racer moves up into P2 as well. Wow, what a story here, Hugh. We've got Levitius down in P4. We're used to seeing him right at the top, but congratulations to JDJ.
So get ready for the start, because this is going to be absolutely brilliant. And the thing is, all those times, there's nothing in it. This means it's a very open race, and it's going to be, I'm sure, exceptionally close.
Yes, indeed, Hugh. So the drivers are lining up now as we wait for the red lights to appear, and it's going to be VSR JDJ that gets us underway. And lights out, and away we go in round 2 of the GT500 Championship at Lego Maggiore. And it's JDJ that will lead us into turn 1, with Richard just behind. Levitius already made up a position up into P3, with VSR Vars moving up to P4. There's a little bit of contact in the background. We've got side-by-side action with Papaya Racer and Galara. It looks like Papaya Racer is going to have the inside line to remain onto that P5 position, but very, very close. Oh, there's a crash. There's a big crash in the background. Let's have a look on the replay there and see exactly what happened. I think it was Galara. It was one of the VSR teammates. No, it was VSR Richard. It was VSR Richard that spun out. Around he goes, and that is very, very unfortunate for Richard there. And we are going down the hill for the big banky boy now. It looks like we got 2 side-by-side by with Galara, with Papaya Racer. Galara sweeps around the outside into P3. Papaya Racer's going to have to tuck in to P number 4. And then we got Deacon in P5. We are just going down the straight now as we speak, approaching the big banky boy, and down the hill. This is where Deacon may look to overtake, which he does. And again, Galara tries the cutback, and they're going to be side by side in a drag race. It is Lexus versus GTR. Who's going to come out on top? I think it's going to be Galara, though Deacon is going to try and hang it, but it unfortunately runs out of space, and Galara hangs on to that P3, Q.
We are going to have to definitely record this in the highlights for sure. This is where the slipstreaming will come into play, and Deacon can catch right back up. He is making himself look like a threat as he comes into Banky Boy, coming round. Oh, he's going on a wee bit on the outside there. Wasn't quite able to pull off a move, but now he's back in the slipstream as they go up the hill, round the left-hander, over the curb. It's incredibly close, and Galara is having to go quite defensive as they come round towards the right-hander. This is also another overtaking opportunity, and Galara just holds off on the outside, but now Deacon's on the inside. Over to you, Sean.
Yeah, he just performed the old switcheroo, and he's made it with perfection there. And let's have a look on board with the replay, because that was something spectacular. So looking on board on that might not be the right angle there, but you can see that he squeezed Galara as much as he could fairly, and it was a fantastic move to move himself up into P3. I do think he's not going to be able to make a move there, but if he can put all types of pressure on Gallara. He may make a sweep down the inside for the final turn, but Gallara closes the door on him, and Papaya Racer is going to have to fight and live another day. But it looks like Gallara is going to defend the inside for turn number 1. Papaya is going to have the inside line for turn number 2, though, as he goes a little bit wide, though. And they are neck and neck. And who's going to come out top? I think Gallara just sweeps in front of Papaya for turn number 4. And Papaya Racer tries one up the inside. It's a little bit of contact, but Papaya Racer up into P4. And I do suspect Gallara is going to come fighting back here. But Papaya Racer sweeps in front of Gallara into this camber right-hander, and P4 is certainly his now as Gallara tucks in into P5. VSR Vars picks up a 3-second penalty for cutting the pit lines. So the pit line penalties are on in this race, and he had a 3-second penalty which he's just served, which had lost him a lot of time. And Puma's Neil is closing in fast, actually. The gap was quite a substantial gap, but it's now down to about 1.6 seconds. Now, of course, he's on the racing soft tyres as well, so the much faster compound of tyres as opposed to Vars's racing hard tyres. We do predict that it's roughly about 3 seconds the difference between the softs and the hard tyres, as we've just seen the top 3 come into the pits. Actually, JDJ has been released and he resumes the race lead with a substantial gap to Levitius. Actually, it's 6.3 seconds, so there's something that we've missed out on. Maybe Levitius had a bit of a tangle. Maybe he's had to serve some penalties.
He's put more fuel in. Levitius has gone for a full tank of fuel, while JDJ has only got half a tank, and that was the same with Neil as well. So yeah, so he's only got half a tank of fuel, so they're trying to maybe get that best balance of tyre and fuel combination. But I'm thinking, my goodness, they go through the fuel pretty quickly here, so I don't know, it's going to be very close. I think Levitius may just have, although he's only 5.5 seconds behind, but he's got way more fuel, so he could potentially go much further into his second stint than VSR JDJ. So let's keep a close eye on that one.
So yeah, Wolfie should be faster at this stage of the race, with being on the softer of the compounds. With Papaya Racer also on fresher medium tyres to Wolfie. So Papaya Racer will be looking to get past both of these drivers as quickly as possible, as it does look like Papaya Racer did try one around the outside, couldn't make it stick, so does tuck in just behind. But we have got side-by-side action with Gallara and Wolfie, and Wolfie does make the move on Gallara, moves up into P4. Gallara with the inferior grip, of course, and Papaya Racer will be looking to get past Gallara in due course as well. It's not good. It's not good for Papaya Racer. Sorry, Hugh. I'll introduce you in a second, because Papaya Racer has got the inside line on Gallara as we go down the hill. And he should have the superior grip, and I think Gallara just lets him through as Gallara goes a little bit wide, and Whipperman is going to have the overspeed as well. So it could be 2 for 1 there from Gallara in terms of losing positions, that is, as Whipperman all over the back bumper of Gallara, but decides not to go for the move for the time being. But yeah, Gallara, I mean, he's full, in his rights to defend, of course. This is for track position, but yeah, for the time being, yeah, Gallara on them hard tyres, looking to try and hold up the drivers as much as possible, as Whipperman flies down the outside of him. And he gets a little bit wide though, and yeah, Whipperman does make it stick, moves up into P6, Gallara down into P7.
We're on lap 16 now, so we are over half distance, but there's strategy at the front, and there's close battles midway through, and my goodness me, as you say, we've got the top 3, the 4th, 5th and 6th all battling away, and something there has happened. I'll go over to you, Sean.
There was a bit of contact there. We're going to get the replay on, because I couldn't quite see from that angle, but let's try.
Papaya Racer still in 4th. Wolfie 5th and Wiverman in 6th.
Yeah, we're on the replay now because, yeah, Papaya Racer went for a big send on the inside. Then there was contact between the pair of them. And, yeah, I don't know. That was a little bit controversial, let's just say. Maybe the racing stewards may have a look at that at the end of the race. For now, Papaya Racer is in P4 ahead of Wolfie in P5, and then we've got Whipperman just behind in P6.
And now we have Levitius in the lead. He's just now gone into the lead. I'm just looking at that now. I think has VSR just come into the pits? Or is he? Oh, he's lost it. He's a tenth behind. Levitius has gone ahead. Did you see the replay there as to when he went through?
Yeah, Levitius just made the move on JDJ at the big Banky boy, slung one up the inside, and JDJ had no answer to it. So
no fuel. JDG's got no fuel.
No, he's still got a little bit of fuel, but he dives into the pits now. Yeah, don't read that remaining fuel. That is just a bug on the game. Yeah, he did have probably, well, in fact, we can see now 4% of fuel. Yeah, on them hard tyres, so he looks to put on a new boots, and we'll see what tyres he does eventually come out on. But it does mean that Levitius is the new race leader with a 7.2 second lead over his nearest rival. That is a Deacon in P2. So Hugh, we've got the top three that definitely do need to come in, but we've got JDJ right now, who is 28.7 seconds behind the race leader. I do suspect he won't need to pit for the final 7 laps. So that means with the pit loss in the region of about 20 seconds, it's going to be very, very tight between JDJ and Levitius, and certainly the top three. As we've got Deacon coming into the pits from P2 with 6% of fuel on them worn medium tyres. And it looks like Papaya Racer has flown on by to claim provisional P2 for him, but he will definitely come in at the end of this lap because the emergency fuel light is on. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's on fumes right now. With Levitius, same story for him as well, as JDJ is now up into P3 ahead of Deacon, who comes out on circuit in P4. Yes, indeed, Hugh. But the interesting fact is, so Levitius managed to make a short pit stop, and Levitius with just under half a tank of fuel. He has to take the racing hard tyres though. JDJ is of course on them racing medium tyres. Oh, he's got half a second penalty though. Oh no. That is a bad time to get a penalty. The gap was a 4-second gap between Levitius and JDJ for P1 and P2 respectively. I did think that if JDJ could be consistent and really nailed them lap times on the superior of the tyre compounds, that maybe he could close that gap on Levitius by the time or before we get to the end of the race. But with that half a second penalty, that's really thrown it into doubt now. Levitius, again, dominant display. It was looking like a lot of the VSR drivers had taken the challenge to Levitius, especially JDJ, with that pole position qualifying time. But Levitius has gone from strength to strength in this race, been very, very consistent. And yeah, he is going to be a very difficult man to stop at the top of the championship. He's going to grab maximum points in this one. And as we come around the last corner now, Levitius is the race winner in round 2 here at Lego Maggiore in the GT500 Championship, and finishes 5 seconds in front of VSR JDJ, but a great drive from him as well to claim the second place on the podium, with Deacon getting the last step on the podium to finish in P3. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the SMA GT500 Championship. If you're not already aware, I'm your host for SMA, the madman himself, Sean Madden, aka Flawed Genius Gaming, presenting to you this 12-week championship, as tonight is week 3 of 12, the halfway mark in this 2008 GT500 series. It also marks the halfway point in the promotion and relegation fight between the tiers. Anyone that witnessed the drama last time out would have noticed that race 2 was a manic affair. It certainly brought out some of the best and the worst from the drivers, as us in the commentary booth was on the edge of our seats, biting our fingernails with some epic close battles, but was marred with a few altercations amongst some of the drivers, as since post-race penalty appeals were handed in, the race stewards had to intervene with some difficult decisions, and in turn this changed the race results from round 2. Those that are in the Discord will be aware of this situation, but we will explain more in the driving standings later on, as it is time to introduce to you the mercurial Scottish talent. He is a master of the mic, both in podcasting and commentary, and he's not a bad driver too. Making it back-to-back weeks in the booth today, it is of course Hugh Hattrick. Welcome back and good evening to you, Hugh.
Hello, Sean, and thank you very much for that wonderful intro. That was very kind. And it's great to see everybody tonight in the chat, all our viewers and the drivers in this wonderful competition of the SMA. And it really is, the GT500 Championship is turning out to be an absolute cracker. And tonight's race, I'm sure, will add to the action, as there's going to be some interesting settings on this race, but we'll come to that in a little while. But back to you, Sean, and you can continue on with the introduction.
Thank you, Hugh. Good to have you in here, of course. Yes, we are actually sponsored by Simulator Cave, the haven for all your high-end sim goodies, your number one place for all your sim racing requirements, as well as being sponsored by TGSE, Cape Town Golf Academy, the hotbed of nurturing talented golfing students to reach their full potential. And we're also proudly associated with MSA Motorsports South Africa, partnered by the FIA, the only place for the official GT7 leagues for the nation.
Now, here we are. Today is round 3 of our 12-week season in the SMA GT500 Championship, and we are at the love it or hate it track, Dragon Trail Gardens, situated somewhere in the regions of Croatia, in the hills and mountains overlooking its track counterpart, Dragon Trail Seaside. Now, the track is 4.352 kilometres long, has 14 corners, and it's quite infamous, I think. I mean, it may not have the death chicane, but it's got those wonderful turns towards the end of the track that are a bit like the Turkish Grand Prix circuit, and everybody likes those corners. But let's have a look at the details. We've got 8 turns to the left and 6 to the right, making it a total of 14 turns. Now, the qualifying is 10 minutes and our race is 50 minutes. Now, the tyre types is all type of racing tyres, but let's have a look to see exactly what the settings are. We've got the compounds, including both inters and wet, because there may well be some rain at some point. And tyre wear is at 5, and fuel consumption rate is at 4. And as I said earlier, rain is expected in the first half of this race, and it could well be all kinds of strategies that they'll have to sort out tonight. There also is heavy damage applied to the drivers too, and that means that they have to be very, very careful, because if you spin off in the wet, or if you hit a wall or hit somebody else, you're going to be really stuck with damage. It's going to slow you right down. But of course, we're in the Group 2 cars, which are very, very powerful, very, very fast. And we've got the Nissan GTR, the 08 Nissan GTR. We've got the Lexus, the SC430, also from 2008, and the Honda NSX, again from 2008. Very fast cars, brilliant to drive. This is going to be a lot of fun. And the drivers will be using the same cars from the start of the season. And let's see what happens. I can't wait to see the drag race powering down these long straights to see who is the fastest. Back over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Hugh. And Yes, so let's have a look at the race results then. So there was a big change in the race results due to penalties applied to some of the drivers, demoting a few of the drivers. Levitius was handed a 4-place grid penalty, losing his race win and demoted to P4. Papaya Racer lost 2 positions and demoted to P6. Wolfie lost 1 position and down to P7. VSR Vars, I'm going with that, lost 2 positions and down to P10. Therefore, VSR JDJ gets his first win of the season and promotes Deacon up into P2, his best result of the season. After the unfortunate incident with Levitius, VSR Richard battled his way up from the back of the grid, and with the penalties applied to the drivers in front, he's promoted to 3rd position. Then it's Levitius in P4, VSR Galara in P5, Papaya Racer, as mentioned, in 6th. 7th is VSR Wolfie. Promoted to 8th is Puma Racing Neil. TNR Whipperman promoted to 9th, with VSR Vars down in 10th position. With Puma Racing Mac grabbing that 11th position, and will need to be kept on his toes as MGR Kennels is promoted back up to the top tier after his race win in Tier 2 from the last round, who was rather unfortunate to be demoted in the first week, originally due to internet issues. He is joined by TNR Supercams and Puma Bridgens as they finished P2 and P3 respectively, and and that rounds up the 14 positions there. So let's take a look at the driver standings then. There we go. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. So that means that TNR Levitius is in first position, but just has a 2-point lead over Deacon in 2nd position. Then in 3rd position, it is VSR JDJ, just ahead of Papaya Racer, who got demoted down into P4. Then we got VSR Richard on 775 points in P5, just ahead of VSR Wolfie in P6. P7, we've got VSR Galara. With 8th Vars. With 764 points ahead of Puma Racing Neil in 9th position. 10th position, we've got TNR Whipperman. In fact, we've got a joint 9th position between Puma Racing Neil and Whipperman, sharing 9th with 756 points. In P11, we've got Puma Racing Mac with 750 points. In P12, it is TNR's Latari. In P13 we've got TNR Ghost Rider, and P14 we have MGR D-Man. Okay, so let's get back on board. Sorry about that. So yeah, Hugh, interesting lineup, 3 new drivers, and it's looking like it could be a very tricky scenario for the drivers. I have heard there is going to be a little bit of rain in this race. So, it's promising to be very exciting and very unpredictable, I think.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting to see how they get on, because the Group 2 cars are so fast. And here, if there is rain at some point during the race, which we're expecting, it's going to make it just like ice, driving on ice and going around some of these corners and braking for the big hairpins. It's going to be really exciting to see the overtakes, because maybe perhaps if it's wet, it's going to tighten the battle up a bit, and those at the back might have a better chance of getting into the front, or certainly getting closer to the front. But it's also great to see the drivers coming from Tier 2, and of course we've got another three races before the series is then locked. But we're beginning to see, drivers coming back up to Tier 1 and battling it out. And with all the penalties and issues that happened from last week, it has really kind of mixed the whole situation up with the championship. There's not many points in it really overall. It's pretty close. There's a lot to play for. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race goes.
Yes, 100% you. Welcome everyone in chat right now. Really appreciate all the support that we've been getting in the SMA channel. Got to say big hello to Kennels, to Jaeger, to Abbas, Lauren, Ghost Rider, Captain Slowly, and we have got Prashina Singh, and we've got qualifying about to get underway. Let me quickly change a few things over. But there is a 10-minute qualifying, and Hugh, I have to say, it is already a bit of a downpour out there. And it's not the ideal start for the drivers. I'm sure they're going to be have to be very, very careful and select the right tyres, of course, in these current conditions. But it looks like it is just about intermediate weather going into qualifying. But I don't know if it's going to get a little bit heavier as the qualifying gets further on into this 10-minute qualifying. So they really need to take advantage, really, of what is reasonably bad conditions. But it's certainly going to be interesting. I've never seen qualifying in the rain, Hugh. So I wonder if we're going to see a few surprises.
Well, they've also, there was rumours that in the last update, they've changed the wet tyres a bit, so the intermediates are seemingly a bit better, have a slightly more flexible range, and you only really want the wets if it's really bad, according to one of the videos I saw earlier on YouTube. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, because I mean, at the moment you can see the wipers going on the cars. I'm watching number 10 VSR JDG currently doing starting out on his out lap, and so he's going to see what it's like. There's quite a bit of spray being washed up behind him, so yeah, there is a reasonable amount of water on the track, and he's having to avoid people left, right and centre, and he's gone a little bit wide there, but he goes on to the start finish straight, and let's see what kind of times the drivers are going to do tonight. But yeah, look at the spray. That's going to be the biggest thing, because unless you're at the front, you're really going to be affected. If you get too close to a car, it's going to be very difficult to see where you're going, so you're really going to have to get a good qualifying time, and you want a bit of space, and at the moment they're all stuck together, so they need to get a bit of space around each other, and then they'll find that maybe a little bit easier. But yeah, this is going to be very, very challenging. They're going to have to focus 100%. They can't afford to make any mistakes tonight.
Yeah, that is 100% true, Pew. 100% true. Every mistake could cost them. So, but we're going to have a look on board with Levitius then. Levitius, who was a little bit unlucky not to get the race win last time out, demoted down into P4, so be looking to make amends in this one. But we'll see how tricky the conditions are as we are on board with Levitius now coming through to sector 3. And it's got one of the most iconic sections, that quadruple right-handed turn. Very easy to get it wrong, but as we come through the last turn of the lap, goes a little bit squivelly on the exit, and Levitius will set a benchmark now of a 1 minute 29.4. Galara did make a bit of a mistake and pulled out of his lap, so I don't think he'll remain in P2. And in fact, it's Puma Mac up into P2, and Papaya Racer onto pole position, 1 minute 29.088, so just over 3 tenths quicker. And Deacon up into first position now, 7.5 tenths up from Papaya Racer. But Deacon going onto the slick tyres, that's interesting. Actually, it looks like a lot of the drivers going onto the slick tyres, Hugh. So perhaps the rain subsiding in the second half of qualifying.
Yes, that's interesting. The weather is changing very, very quickly. Already we can see that the wipers are no longer on. There's less spray. In fact, there's hardly any spray being kicked up by the cars at certain parts of the track. But it's going to make these chicanes be very, very slippy, especially on slick tyres. But they are on the racing soft, which should give them the most amount of grip. But that, it's going to be, I suppose, it's about going out at the right time. And certainly Deacon, with that great qualifying time, that is going to really set a benchmark. And who, or if anyone, can get near it. We've got Whipham in there in second place at the moment, or he's just gone back out. But let's see what happens. Deacon did a 128.348, and who can beat it?
Yes, indeed. Well, Whipperman moved himself up into P2. He was still on them intermediate tyres, and I was quite interested to see how he was going to get on there, because I thought he may have maybe take a chance to stay on to the intermediates, but did decide to come in and change onto the slick tyres. So I'm just trying to get on board with the nearest driver to crossing the finish line.
And now in second place.
Okay, have we got a driver at the front of the queue on a hot lap queue?
I'm looking at, let's see, we've got in second place VSR Richard, who is just coming now. He's just 0.084 behind Deacon, and he's a couple of tenths, just under a couple of tenths ahead of Whipperman in third. But they're coming, they're kind of midway through the circuit as we look on to VSR Richard that I'm looking at just now. That, yeah, it looks like they're all trying to get to grips with these slick tyres, but definitely that tyre is maybe helping as they get through the corners at the back of the circuit. Of course, the Nissan being four-wheel drive might just have a little bit of an advantage tonight. So of course, the Honda being mid-engined. And the Toyota has that big engine, but of course it's rear-wheel drive. But we are just looking at the times.
Oh, Gallara up into pole position, Hugh. He set a 1 minute 26.4, 1.8 seconds up on Deacon, who currently is P2. But Levitius up into pole position, 1 minute 25.7 for him. So let's see if Deacon can better it then. Does seem like the slick tyres are in a much better state to drive on this circuit then. It will still be a little bit greasy for the drivers, but Deacon comes across the line now onto pole position. 1 minute 25.445, 3 tenths up on Levitius. Oh my God, who was that? That was that kind of ruined his lap time there. He may have just about enough time to get a final lap in for Deacon, but yeah, Levitius got it all to do then. 3 tenths. He'll need to find to overthrow a Deacon at the top of the pile. But JDJ, going to be interested to see how he gets on as well. His personal best is a 1 minute 26.1. Currently holds P3. 2 tenths quicker than Vars at the minute. And we also know VSR Richard is very quick as well, Hugh. He's, I think he qualified in P2 in the last race, so we know he's got really good pace, and he made up so many positions in the race as well, and it was well deserved of his third position. So I'm going to remain on board with Richard, but Hugh, if there's anyone else that we should get on board with.
I was going to say Levitius is back up to pole position by half a second.
Oh.
He was quicker in that last sector. He was half a second up, and he's managed to maintain that and get up into pole position. So Gallara goes down into second, and then we've got Papaya Racer in third. I'm looking at that there. He's a fraction ahead of Deacon in fourth. This is this point 0.050, so there's a half a thousandths there. And then Deacon is in fourth just now, but has gone back into the pits. Then we've got Whipperman, who's just 7 tenths behind in fifth. And then looking into sixth position, VSR JDG, also just 7 tenths, is virtually nothing in it, just 0.035 between fifth and sixth. Then it's a few tenths to VSR Richard in seventh. But certainly, the track is dried out very quickly, because you can see there's really hardly any spray now coming on behind. So the tyres are certainly having an effect. Although now, in this part of the circuit, watching VSR JDJ, there is a bit of spray here and there. So it looks like the circuit is really being affected at different parts. This is a real variable for the drivers to be able to concentrate. Look, you can actually see the rain pouring down just towards the last part of the track. But here they come. Let's see what happens. Vitius is in the pits. Vars is still out there in second place. And then we are looking at seventh.
Oh, someone just spun, I do believe. I couldn't get on board with it. Oh, quite a lot of them are spinning out.
Yeah, on the start from the straight. It's chaotic. Here we are.
Yeah, so you can see with the rain meter on your left-hand side, it's in the intermediate window, and as there's not enough time to get another lap in, it is going to be how it is then for the drivers. So it's looking like Levitius is going to start on pole position ahead of Vars in P2 and Gallara in P3. And I think most of the drivers will be entering the pits now. I think we've got Vars just parked up, maybe having a cup of tea or coffee or something. But yeah, that was certainly very interesting qualifying. And I do apologise. I was trying to find the right camera on the drivers, but trying to keep up with everything that was going on. It was very, very difficult. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone that's tuned in tonight, though. It should be a fantastic race. Make sure you do hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. We are chasing down 100 subscribers at the minute, so we are looking to try and get monetized, which I know you do need about 1,000 subscribers, but any help that you can provide us would be much appreciated. So just looking at the qualifying results then, so we got Levitius that's going to start on pole position with VSR Vartavis claiming an excellent P2 and VSR Gallara in P3. Then we've got Papaya Racer in P4, Deacon in P5, TNR Whipperman in P6, VSR JDJ in P7. 8th position goes to VSR Richard. P9 goes to VSR Wolfie. Top 10 position for the newly promoted driver, Supercams. So good performance from him ahead of Puma Racing Mac in P11. Puma Bridgens, the second of the promoted drivers, in P12. Puma Racing Neil, P13. And Kennels didn't set a lap time. Will start at the back of the grid. So the race starts, and just... bear with me. It is a rain-soaked start, so it's going to be a grid start with Levitius and Vars on the front row as we wait the red lights to appear. And it's lights out, and away we go in round 3 at Dragon Trail Gardens in this GT500 Championship. Levitius gets an excellent start ahead of Vars and Gallara Bryn with a Papaya Racer in P4, Deacon P5, JDJ P6. And it looks like Whipperman up into P7, Richard P8, as we got side by side between VSR Richard and Whipperman. It looks like, Whipperman slides and goes off the circuit. And let's get a replay on that. Did not expect that in the slightest there, Hugh. As we went into turn number 2, it was VSR Richard and Whipperman side by side. I don't know if there was a touch or not, but sideways went Whipperman and down to the back of the grid, Hugh.
My goodness, he's going to have to battle his way back through the field, but it's very close. We've got Deacon in 4th, and 4th, 5th and 6th. There's not much in it at all. In fact, the whole field at the front is very, very close as they're coming through the back corners there, the famous 4 quadruple right-handers, and there won't be much grip. The wipers are on. The spray is coming from the back of the cars, but as you can see there is Gallara in 3rd, Deacon in 4th, who has closed right up, and looking at 2nd, it's Varswater, then Levitius. But certainly he's got a bit of space between him and 2nd place, but it's very, very close between Gallara and also Deacon in 4th. He's slipstreaming now on the start-finish straight and coming alongside. Oh, he's almost in the barriers as they're going neck and neck along the start-finish straight. Here they come into the left-hander, and Deacon has to kind of cut through. He's very, very close to position 3, to Gallara in 3rd, and they come into the chicane. Round the chicane they go, to the left, to the right there. How much curbs are they going to take? Or they're avoiding them completely. And they still is behind Deacon, but now neck and neck again on the straight. And they're battling it out between the Honda and the Nissan as they come along side by side on the back straight coming into the hairpin now. Deacon is as marginally ahead. It looks like he's got that 3rd place ahead of Gallara, but they're battling on. And he's, a bit of a touch there between Gallara and Deacon. But so far, The Deacon is still ahead and manages to take his line there ahead of Galara in fourth. Papaya Racer is right behind. There's a bit of a queue now between third to sixth as they're all behind Deacon, but now things might go back to normal, or he might try and pull out a bit of a gap. But third, fourth, fifth and sixth are very close indeed.
Yes, indeed, Hugh. Yeah, very, very manic start to this race, that is for sure. And yeah, Deacon just managing to take a little bit more of a gap. Oh, he goes a little bit deep though. That would have compromised his line for the second part of the left-hander there. But yeah, I think Galara also went a little bit deep there. So it is how it is for the time being. There's a 7/10 gap between Deacon and Galara for P3 and P4. Let's have a quick look on board with the drivers in front. So Levitius has a 1.7 second lead over Vars, who currently holds an excellent P2, 1.2 seconds ahead of Deacon. Let's get back on board with Deacon though. Deacon is now, oh god, there is a battle now going on for Galara, and it looks like Papaya Racer has taken full advantage as he moves up into P4. And I do feel like there was a moment now. I'm going to quickly get a replay if possible.
There was definitely a couple of overtakes there.
Oh, Galara went wide. Galara went wide over the curb, lost traction, and there was Papaya Racer down the inside to take full advantage and move up a position.
Now already you can see that the rain looks like it has slowed down a bit. The wipers are off. There's still a little bit of spray, but it's very, very tricky situation here. And they're on the intermediate, so they've already gone through quite a bit of that tyre wear. So as you can see, these tyres are not going to last very long. I think we've got tyre wear times 5, I think it is, for the tyre wear. So it's certainly going to hurt them if they use them too much, or as the weather changes and the track changes, they're going to have to really take that into account. And will they go back onto the slick tyre as soon as they can? But between Papaya Racer and Galara, look at that. They're coming around. He's almost into the wall, but then he's back onto the right-hand side. Galara trying to take the outer line, outside run, but Papaya Racer manages to defend that, and they come round the left-hander, watching he doesn't go too far wide, and then into the chicane. Very, very tricky left and right, and they are avoiding as much as they can some of the curbs. Although there, I have to say, they did take them. They took that sausage curb, but they're being very brave as they go on to the back straight. And Papaya Racer is now about just under 4/10 ahead of Galara, but it's incredibly close up and down the field.
Yes, indeed, and yeah, very tricky conditions for the drivers as this it seems to be drying out a little bit, and you can see the tyre life on them intermediate tyres, the tread not lasting very long. The tyre wear is at ×5, so on a pretty dry circuit, or especially for them intermediate tyres, them tyres are going to burn very, very quickly, as you can see there. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. Do they stay out on these intermediate tyres, or do they decide to get on the slick tyres? But if qualifying was anything to go by, then I think they may stay out, Hugh.
Yeah, well, Deacon has just got into second place. He managed to pass VSR Vars just a couple of corners ago, and now he is roughly 8/10 ahead. But that was a great move. They were kind of again side by side. Certainly this race, my goodness, look at that there. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and onwards. There's hardly anything in it at all. The rain has brought the whole field together, and it's only Levitius who is ahead by about 3.7 seconds. But the rest of the field are right there. There's a big queue from Lee second to eighth, which is great for us here. And they're now beginning to use more of the curbs. They're feeling a bit braver to use those curbs. I'd be wearing my wellies if I was out there today. But it's quite a race as they go down the back straight, with Deacon now pulling away by just over a second to Vars Water. But let's have a look further down the field, and we can see that Galara is in fifth and VSR JDG is in sixth. VSR Richard seventh and Wolfie is in eighth. And then looking at that, Puma Racing Mac is in ninth, and Kennels UG is in 10th, and in 11th is Supercamp. Now I'm looking at the...
Yeah, we're gonna stay on board with P3 because that is the closest battle on the grid at the moment, Hugh. There is a 9:10. Oh, Deacon lost a little bit of time there. I don't know if he went a little bit wide out of the corner there, but he lost about 3/10 there. But here comes Papaya Racer as he goes all over the back bumper of Vars, as he goes around the outside, he's going to pin it on the outside. I don't know if he's going to make it stick, although a little bit sketchy from Vars on the exit, and they're going to be side by side, and I do feel like Vars is going to have the advantage here because he has got the inside line for turn number 1. Oh,
wow.
But Papaya Racer tries to hang it around the outside. That is a very, very brave move from him. And brilliant skill as Papaya looks to sweep in front of him, and he makes it still. What a great move from Papaya Racer. But Vars, can he get good traction out of the chicane? Yes, he can. And Papaya Racer is going to defend for his life as we come up to the hairpin. He's going to take that inside line. Are we going to see a bit of a switcheroo from Vars? And also Galara as well. Not too far behind as well. So we got Galara all over the back bumper of Vars with JDJ in close proximity of him as well. But that was a fantastic move from Papaya Racer. Moves himself up into P3.
It is fantastic. Look at that. Between 3rd and 6th place, it's very, very close. And even VSR Richard in 7th is just a fraction away. It's a real battle down the field here. But we're seeing some great racing and great sportsmanship too. They're all allowing room for each other, which is allowing for these great overtakes and battles. But nobody, thankfully, has been spun off other than poor old. It was Witterman at the start, but he is carrying on. But as we see here in 4th place, Varswater is still going there and is just being followed very, very closely by Galara in 5th place. And then it's VSR GDG. Oh, they're coming into the pits. Here they come.
Yep, they're all coming in. So it looks like the track conditions is getting a little bit wetter, so they may get onto them wet tyres. It looks like Levitius has already made that switch onto the wet tyres. And yeah, it looks like all of them. I think that is the wise decision, I think, Hugh. Obviously, they've got the weather radar. We don't. So, we're just guessing at this point. But it does look like that the heavens have opened, and it looks like we're going to be in set for a big downpour. And this is where things get very, very interesting because, of course, it's going to be very, very tricky conditions for the drivers. They're going to have to be as careful as possible. Who's going to be daring, though? I don't know. So we got Wolfie down the inside of Puma Racing Mac, looking to move up into P7. Oh, there's a slight bit of contact. And it slightly pushes Mac out wide. Wolfie up into P7 ahead of Mac in P8 with Richard for company now in P9. As he would have gained a lot more speed out of the exit of the hairpin there. So, yeah, very interesting indeed. This is very difficult to keep on top of, but if you can remain on board with these 3 drivers, Hugh, I will quickly look up the grid because we've got Levitius with a 6-second lead over Papaya Racer, who's got Deacon for company. Actually, he's got a train of about 4 cars. Oh my god, as he gets very squirrely on the exit there, just about holds off Deacon for that P2. But is he going to hold on to that P2? No, he's not, because Deacon flies up the inside, moves up to P2, and gets on the anchors just in front of Papaya Racer. And yeah, he's definitely going to hold on to that P2 with Vars not too far behind. Papaya Racer is going to come back with a vengeance, though, as we go through the chicane now. Oh, a little bit squirrely from Vars there. Wasn't able to get on the power. There's Deacon flashing his hazard lights there to say sorry, I think. But yeah, Papaya Racer only half a second down and gets on the brakes very, very nicely. Closes that gap slightly. But of course, both of the drivers in the same car got the same characteristics. And I have actually been told, Hugh, that the Honda NSX is the best car in these conditions. So I'm guessing the GTR, perhaps not the best, perhaps not its strengths. As Papaya Racer goes a little bit wide through the quadruple right-hander. Oh, it looks like he's really struggling for traction there. And VSR JDJ, has he moved up, or was he already P4?
Yeah, he's in P4 and Gallara is right behind him. It's very, very tight. It's been like that just for the last lap or so as they come round. In fact, even 4th, 5th and 6th, Varswater is just behind them as well. But no, it's been very, very close between the two Hondas there, in fact, the three Hondas, as they start their next lap. But yeah, less than half a second between them. Papaya Racer is roughly about at 1.1 seconds ahead of VSR JDC. But as you can see there, 4th, 5th and 6th is hardly anything in it at all. The wipers are on. There's an awful lot of spray. And I think they're still kind of finding their feet here because the grip has changed hugely from being kind of wet at the start to then drying out a little bit and then back to full wet. Onto the wet tyre, and that means they should hopefully have just enough grip, but you can see them, it's very dodgy coming out of the corners. They're going to apply that throttle very carefully, but they're managing there. The Levitius has got a 1:28.560 as his fastest lap, which is quite a bit, which is a very good time indeed, and he's roughly 9 seconds ahead of VSR JDG. That was in 4th, but Deacon, as you say, has been having a great battle as well, getting up into... Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, we got side by side with VSR Richard and Puma Racing Neil. It looks like Richard has got the angle on him to I don't know if he was already in P8 or not, but they were side by side as they were both struggling to get the traction down out of the hairpin. So Richard up into P8 and Puma Racing Mac in the P9. We've got Kennels that's moved up 4 position from the grid start, so making good progress into the top 10 as he goes a little bit sideways. Oh my god, that was a scary moment for Kennels. The drivers are really struggling for traction at this point of the race. We are just entering that kind of wet territory as we got Puma Racing Neil down into P12 with Whipperman now looking to make amends, really. Also not doing so well in this race so far, down into P13, but looking to make amends and try to move up a position on Puma Racing Neil. Oh, as he goes very sideways in the background, Whipperman. So very tricky conditions for the drivers, and I wouldn't like to be them, Hugh.
Certainly, and Whipperman has got damage from his earlier incident, so he's still carrying that damage unless there's been something else that's happened afterwards. But yeah, so he is struggling to maybe get that car as fast as being as competitive as he could be. But with these conditions, you just never know what could happen. All it takes is for someone to go off in front, and then that's a place straight away. The field, although it's a little bit, it has spread a little bit towards the far side of the drivers, but you never know what can happen in these conditions because it is very wet, and all we need is for a couple of incidents and your race has been completely turned round. But certainly Puma Racing Neil is just under a second ahead of Whipperman, but as I say, he is carrying damage, but he is 6.5 seconds ahead of Puma Bridgens in 14th. But yes, it is all to play for, and let's see where the battles are.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it looks like they're a little bit more spread out at the minute, Hugh, but certainly it looks like Wolfie managed to get good traction out of the final corner there. Out of the quadruple right-hander there as we go through the last turn of lap number 10. So the gap is down to about 0.6 of a second. And it's still closing as well as he's in that slipstream as we go into turn number 1. And actually, the gap between Wolfie and Gallara, roughly about 2 seconds. So actually pretty close between the trio there. Oh, there's a little bit of oversteer from Wolfie. Didn't help his calls through the chicane, but it does look like Vars also was struggling for traction as well. And the gap has come down to about 0.4 of a second as we go down the hill and towards the hairpin. We'll see how Vars gets on through the hairpin. You've got to be a smooth operator, definitely out of the slow corners. But it is the way it is at the minute. So we'll keep a good eye on this battle for sure. But at the moment, they remain how they are, Hugh.
Yeah, you've got to wonder how much traction control they're using, or are they using none at all? They'll be very brave if that is the case, because these conditions are really dodgy. And as you see, with rear-wheel drive cars with lots of horsepower coming over these curbs and exiting onto the streets, it is very, very tricky, and it's very easy to lose the back end. But they're driving very, very well. The consistency is superb, and as we see here, it's now just half a second between VSR Vars in 6th and Wolfie in 7th. In fact, he's got it down to just 0.4 of a second as they come through the corner through the right-hander, and sorry, onto the start-finish straight. There is 5th, 6th, and 7th. There's hardly anything in it at all, and they're doing 134s. Certainly, Wolfie did a 134.696. So they're certainly keeping well in touch, and as you say, they're kind of getting into the groove now, getting into that rhythm. But anything can happen, even just through these chicanes. You can see how the gaps come and go. And in fact, Wolfie missed that third that apex there quite a bit, but didn't seem to lose much time overall. But VSR Richard is just over a second behind them. But it looks like Wolfie does gain quite a bit to Varswater on the straights. So he's getting a bit of slipstream that's certainly helping him out a wee bit. But what a battle we've got in the midfield. And we've got another, how many laps? Another 23 laps of this to go. Sorry, but 17, 18 laps of this to go, which is fantastic. So we have Wolfie in 7th, Varswater in 6th, and Gallara who are in 6th. 6th, 7th and 8th are just like that. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Hugh. And it's certainly closed up for the battle for the last step on the podium. Papaya Racer currently in that third position, just ahead of VSR JDJ. I've got to say big apologies. I had no idea that my game sound was turned off there, guys. So big apologies. Hopefully the sound levels are where they need to be. But with the nature of how frantic this race 3 has been, completely forgot about it, so I do apologise. We got Papaya Racer about half a second in front of JDG as he looks to hold him off for the time being. It looks like Gallara is trying to hold off Vars for P5 and P6 respectively. We've got Wolfie not too far behind in P7 and Richard in P8 as well. So certainly a lot to play for at this stage of the race. We are 20 minutes into this race, 30 minutes to go. So we are approaching the halfway mark, but we're also approaching the time of the race where the track is starting to dry out a little bit. Them dry lines are starting to appear on circuit, and we could see a few drivers come into the pits to change onto the slick tyres, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what tyres they do decide to come out on. Of course, the tyre wear is pretty extreme, so do they go on the softer of the compounds or on the harder of the compounds? And just looking at the onboards at them, actually we got quite a close battle actually between Vars and Wolfie, so I will refrain from that comment for the time being. But Vars just trying to hold off Wolfie, who's starting to look rather competitive at this stage of the race. And as we get onto the onboards now, he's on the wet tyres. You would have thought the wet tyres are a little bit inferior in these kinds of conditions, but he's doing a really good job at the minute, trying to make Vars's life a misery as we go through the chicane right now. And he gets good speed out of the exit as well. Vars, I think he's going to try and defend the inside. No, he doesn't. And it looks like Wolfie's going to go up the inside of Vars then and move up into P6. So quite surprised there. I thought Vars was going to go narrow and defend the inside line, but decided to let his teammate through and lose a position. But maybe thinking of the bigger picture, Hugh, and thinking about the race the race ahead.
Certainly. I mean, it's all about strategy here as well, isn't it? But the wet tyres, although to be fair, looking at Wolfie's tyres, he's taking quite a lot out of those wet tyres. so they're not going to last that much longer. But that was a great move, and Vars didn't really defend it that much. Maybe initially there was a move across, but certainly Wolfie was able to go ahead, and now he is pulling away slightly from Vars Water, roughly about 0.8 of a second in it. But you can see that the track, again on the start-finish straight, has started to dry out. Now we've got some people coming into the pits.
Yes, indeed.
It's coming to the pits. In fact, we've got quite a few people coming into the pits there, and they are changing. They're also getting fuel. Are they going to remain on those wet weather tyres? That's going to be the crucial thing. Let's have a look and see. That, yep, they're all on.
Yeah, so it looks like the top 6 drivers have stayed out on their wet tyres. Papaya Racer decided to go onto the soft slicks, but they do still need to be very careful and not hit them curbs because they're still very, very wet, and definitely no grip for them slick tyres, so they certainly do need to be very careful. They can't drive like it's a completely dry circuit, and really need to keep to the dry lines, that is for certain. But yeah, it's quite interesting actually, Hugh, because yeah, Papaya Racer is on the soft slicks, Deacon's on the medium slicks, we got Super Cams. Oh, he's got damage, and on them wet tyres as well, so he's trying to nurse the car perhaps back into the pit lane, but currently finds himself in P9. Then we've got Vars, and Neil, who are battling it out for the top 10 position. Vars has already made his pit stop onto them racing medium tyres ahead of Neil, who is on them wet tyres, so quite interesting to see who is daring and who is looking to keep it safe on track. But he will need to pit very soon because he's got no tread on them tyres as Levitius comes in from the race lead, and he has decided to go onto the race's soft tyres ahead of Papaya Racer, who now moves up into P2. Deacon is in P3 now on the medium tyres. VSR Richard comes out in P4 on the medium tyres ahead of his teammate JDJ, who also selects the medium tyres, and then we got Vars Vartavis up into P6 now, also on the medium tyres. Galara in 7th on the medium tyres, Wolfie in P8 on the medium tyres, and then Kennels making really good progress up the grid, then moves up into P9 also on the medium tyres. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the difference between the soft and the hard, the soft and the medium runners, but yeah, I suppose we'll find out in due course, Hugh.
Yes, this is changing all the time, and we've got Papaya Racer, who on those new racing soft tyres has taken about 4/10 out of Levitius on this out lap. You can see them there in the first two. There's not much in it, and that time they're getting closer and closer. And of course, Papaya Racer was the first to come in for those racing soft tyres, and that has certainly helped him and propelled him up the field into second place. And he is just over 2 seconds ahead of Deacon in third. But this race is really, it's coming and changing all the time, isn't it, with these weather conditions? He's just set a 125.846. That was his out lap, and he's certainly, again, just bit by bit pulling Levitius in. Now there's less than 3 seconds. In fact, and we're looking at Levitius. Has there been an incident there? I'm looking at Levitius. He's lost about 2/10 there to Papaya Racer, but we're looking, it looks like he is on the track and there hasn't been too many issues. But why, my goodness, it is closing up. Pit stops for plenty on this exciting round 3 of the SMA GT500.
Oh, I just heard something in the background. All right, maybe not then. I thought I heard some wheel screeching as, thinking that maybe someone has got a little bit too late on the brakes or maybe hit that wet line, but it was my imagination. But yeah, certainly, Hugh, the gap is definitely closing between the 3 TNR drivers in Levitius, Papaya and Deacon, down to, well, it was under 5 seconds, but it's risen back up to just over 5 seconds. But yeah, certainly there is a big gap to VSR Richard, who is 12.5 seconds down the road, currently in P4, but he is on the racing medium tyres with 3/4 of a tank. as opposed to Papaya Racer, for example, on the Racing Soft tyres with just under half a tank of fuel, and Levitis with even less fuel, of course, on them Racing Soft tyres. So definitely difference of strategy between many of the drivers, and I don't know whether or not Richard and Deacon will need to pit. I think they may need to put in a splash of fuel, I think. I am not 100% sure, but they're obviously looking to make their second stint a lot longer than Levitis and Papaya Racer, that's for sure. So we will have a changing in hands for the race lead in a short space of time, I think, Hugh. But JDJ P5 at the moment, 3.2 seconds behind his teammate Richard, with Gallara in close proximity of him, actually. 1.1 seconds is the gap between JDJ and Gallara, and 1.5 seconds is the gap between Gallara and Wolfie for P6 and P7 respectively. And then Kennels now up into P8, so he's making really good progress, Hugh, and he's on the longest stint as well on the racing medium tyres, and just over 3/4 of a tank. So he's it gone sideways and into the barrier, and it was that a commentator's curse, I don't know. Let's have a look on the onboard replay there. Oh, he got all over the curb, and that is the dangerous thing on the slick tyres. Oh, yeah, there was absolutely nothing he could do once he got onto that curb, and that's a disaster for Kennels, as he was looking so good in the race. He's lost 3 positions to move down into P11 with rear bumper damage, and if I was him, I probably would pit very soon. In fact, he does pit now to repair the damage, change them tyres, and hope to go through till the end of the race, Hugh.
Yes, it's certainly all happening as well, because Gallara and Wolfie are back to their tactics and racing again, and there's virtually nothing in it, and they're on the medium tyres with over 3/4 of a tank of fuel, which makes me think that they could go to the end of this race maybe without another pit stop. They've got quite a bit there, certainly in fuel wise and time wise. They're doing pretty well. They're just 25 seconds behind Levitius. I'm just trying to think how long a pit stop is here at Dragon Trail Gardens, but maybe that strategy might just pay off and see them go up the field if they don't need to do another pit stop. But there's virtually nothing in it. There's 3/10 between Gallara and Wolfie as they come on to the back straight under the bridges, and coming up to this double left-hander, which is very easy to run wide on. We've still got Gallara ahead, but Wolfie right behind, and they come into the first left, through the second left, and they take a bit of curb, but not too much. A bit of spray still being washed up when they go over those curbs, but there they go, 6th and 7th, just 3/10 in it as they come across the line, and now into the left-hander. They chug it through. You can see them push those cars through. They're going to be so careful on exit that they don't run wide, but at the moment Gallara is still just 2.5 tenths. They're very close as they come through the southern chicane, and they manage to miss the southern chicane and go straight on out onto the back straight, and there's roughly 4/10 in it as they come down the straight.
Yeah, and Hugh, we did actually miss a little bit of a incident with Kennels as he came out of the pit lane. He was on the wet line, and on turn 1 went wide, and his race going from bad to even worse now, and it's amazing to see like how quickly things can change in the race, where he was looking so good and looking to try to challenge the drivers in front of him, but he's down into 13th position, and he didn't pick up damage though, so that was one good thing out of that. But he's got it all to do, and of course we know, guys, that P12, 13 and 14 will get relegated into tier 2 for next week, so he really does need to pick up the pace and hope that he can finish outside of the drop zone. But we have got a bit of a battle going on for P6 then. It does look like Wolfie is trying to hound down his teammate Gallara, who is just 4 tenths in front of him. They could be playing a little bit of a game though to perhaps maybe save the tyres, save the fuel a little bit. Maybe they'll go for the battle later on in the race, but it looks like Wolfie is just keeping pace with Gallara at this point. But yeah, let's quickly move a bit further up the grid then, and I would imagine the top 2 drivers will be pitting quite shortly then. Levitius has got a 2-second lead over his teammate Papaya Racer with pretty worn tyres. In fact, Papaya Racer's tyres looking even more shoddy with not much tread left on them soft tyres and less fuel as well. So yeah, I do predict they'll be in to the pits in the next 1 or 2 laps, I think. And yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because Deacon in a very, very good position right now. He's got more fuel. He's on the medium tyre, so he can go longer. And he's 5.4 seconds adrift of Levitius, who leads the race. Oh, he hits that puddle. You don't want to be doing that, Deacon. And just about survives to live another day. But yeah, he's got a 14.9 second lead over VSR Richard, who has pretty similar tyres and fuel as well. So yeah, certainly in the next 5 minutes, I think things are going to get very tasty, Hugh.
Yeah, I'm looking at Deacon on board there. With him, his racing medium tyres are roughly about halfway through. Certainly on his right side, the rears are all good though, and he's got still quite a bit of fuel left, and he's only 5.3 seconds behind Levitius in first place, so I think he could certainly go a lot longer. This could be a pretty good strategy by Deacon. I just wonder if that might, certainly if Levitius is going to have to come in along with the Papaya Racer. It really depends what tyres they have. They'll probably go back for the racing soft to finish the race with. But Deacon may well, in fact he will inherit the lead if he continues like this, but will he be able to hang on to it with those medium tyres? But so far the wear isn't too bad, and he's got plenty of fuel. It's going to be interesting. Maybe he's trying to see if he can get to the end of the race without having to do a pit stop. But they've got a little bit to go yet though, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, just looking a bit further afield, Hugh, so obviously the battle to stay in Tier 1. So we got Puma Racing Neil currently in P9 ahead of his teammate Mac, who holds a top 10 position, just 7 tenths behind Neil. And yeah, we got Vars with the last place to survive in Tier 1. He has a 2.6 second lead over Kennels, who's already made up a position. So Bridges, in fact, I think Bridges was P14, so he's up into P13. Whipperman is down at the back of the grid, but he has made his pit stop. Now, we have got 15 minutes left. I would suspect that that'll be good enough for him to last the whole race. So I do expect Whipperman to start rising up positions once the likes of Bridgens, Kennels, Vars, Mac, and definitely Neil make their pit stops. I think Neil will be pitting very shortly, actually, because he's got less than a quarter of a tank and pretty worn soft tyres. So it could be the battle between Neil and Kennels for that last place in Tier 1. Levitius up in was in P3, was in the race lead, pits and changes onto another tyre compound. It's the racing mediums. He puts in a splash of fuel as well, just over half a tank of fuel, and he rejoins in P4, 1.6 seconds down on VSR Richard. And yeah, as we mentioned, I don't know, it's going to be touch and go whether or not VSR Richard will need to pit. And I would imagine, and yes, you can see it actually with the rev meter, he is saving fuel. So I don't know if he's going to be able to save enough fuel though to not stop. But certainly it'll be less time spent in the pits refueling the car, that is for sure. and it is line astern for Gallara and Wolfie, both VSR teammates. Nothing has changed between them, and I think they are working together to try and fuel save. And yeah, this is the thing, Hugh. Obviously, we've not got the delta that the drivers have got, so they'll know exactly how much fuel they've got on board and what that equates to in laps. So we can only guess at this point, but we've got Papaya Racer comes into the pits from P2 then with 1% of fuel on very worn racing soft tyres. I would imagine he's going to go onto the medium tyres. So Deacon takes the lead of the race then, 15.8 seconds as he goes very squirrely through the chicane there, which obviously still very tricky conditions for the drivers, and one mistake can really cost it for you. But yeah, 15.7 seconds ahead of VSR Richard, who's got now Levitius for company now, so the gap has closed in from 1.5 seconds down to half a second, and I would imagine Levitius will make a move on Richard very, very shortly, Hugh.
Wow, it's looking very, very close indeed for second place between, as you say, VSR Richard and Levitius. But all that time, it's allowing Deacon, who has done a very good strategy. He's got 15.3 seconds ahead, and I just wonder if he might just be able to scrape it out till the end of the race without another pit stop, because at the moment he's still kind of holding stern with a good time in front. He could maybe save a bit of fuel. It's really about tyre wear because he's on the mediums. So as we see this battle for second and third, the longer they battle, maybe the better chance Deacon has of retaining first place if he is able to go the whole race for the rest of the race without a pit stop. But Richard and Levitius are absolutely battling as they come round the double left-hander onto the start-finish straight. Oh, and there was a bit of power sliding there from Levitius. They're in the slipstream, not quite neck and neck, but Levitius is certainly hammering on the pressure and is trying to almost push Richard on as they come into turn one. And they go round the left hand, and look, now that we have the sunshine, the track is dry and they're able to get the most out of the corners. But here they come. We've got Levitius right behind Richard for the battle for second place, but Richard is managing to keep Levitius behind him as they go through the chicane and on to the straight. There's roughly just 9/10 between it, or just going on to a second, and it looks like Richard's made a very good exit onto the straight, and now he comes into the hairpin. The tight left-hander, which can be very tricky to accelerate out of, but there's still a second in it. And all this time, Deacon is pulling ahead. He's now 15.9 seconds ahead of Richard in second. So what will happen now? Well, as we can see here, Richard's on the racing at mediums. He's got plenty of fuel, and he's roughly about 2/3 through his tyres, according to our systems here. So will that last for the rest of the race, or will he have to come in again? And of course that will make another change. But Levitius, he's got plenty of tyres. He's of course just changed them, and plenty of fuel. So I wonder whether Levitius is just waiting now for Richard to come in, and then he will inherit that second place, because there's about half a second in it as they come to complete the lap. And Papaya Racer's not far behind, just half a second behind them. So this lack of battling has brought them all together. And what do you think, Sean? Who's going to finish first?
Yeah, you took my line there. but no, yeah, so Levitius did make a mistake on the previous lap, couldn't get the traction down out of this turn now, actually, as he does clip the sausage there, which is very, very risky, but gets much better traction this time round. He's going to look to swing to the inside to make the move on VSR Richard, moves up into P2, times his braking to perfection, and now Richard is going to have all types of pressure from Papaya Racer, who's got to the back of him now, of course on them racing soft tyres, so he's certainly looking very fast at this point of the race. We've got just under 10 minutes left of this race, so still a lot can happen in the closing stages of this race, but Papaya Racer, yeah, you can see that he's definitely got a lot more grip and a lot more pace over Richard, who will be saving fuel, and yeah, he pulls to the outside line. Richard is not going to make it easy for him, who's got the inside line, and Papaya's going to have to be very brave, and Papaya Racer pins it on the outside, but Richard had the inside line and holds off Papaya Racer for the time being. As Hugh just mentioned, Deacon comes into the pits from the race lead.
Right in front, my goodness, it's going to be very, very close. Visa Richard still in third place, but Deacon goes to second. But there's nothing in it, look at that. There's only 6/10 in it. Now we've got the battle for the last 10 minutes of the race between Deacon and Levitius, and Richard in third. This has really closed the whole field up. We've got really from first to sixth, maybe first to seventh, very, very close indeed. And now just 9/10 between Levitius and Deacon, but they are both ready to go to the end of the race on these tyres and fuel. Wow.
And Papaya Racer up the inside. Papaya Racer up the inside of VSR Richards, so he does make it stick, moves up into P3, and it's certainly going to be a very tight finish in the last 8 minutes of this race, Hugh, because he is only 2.2 seconds down on Levitius, who is the race leader. But of course, he's on the racing medium tyres, which is the inferior tyres to the soft runners. He's only got that 8/10 gap to Deacon, who is also on the soft tyres. So Levitius is going to make it as difficult as possible, and I know that of course these three drivers are TNR teammates, but this is for glory here, and Deacon will be wanting to get his first win of the season, and with the gap just under 6/10 of a second, Levitius is going to come under all serious types of pressure from Deacon, and with Papaya Racer not too far behind as well, he could get drawn into the fight here as the top two battle. So it's certainly going to be I'm trying to think of the phrase here, Hugh, but it's certainly not going to be friends amongst drivers, I think.
Exactly. When they see a chance to go for glory, they don't want to miss out. And look at that. There's just half a second in it now between Levitius in first and Deacon in second. And this has become into over 40 minutes of the race. It's fantastic to see the battles throughout the field, but this is for the lead of the race. We have Levitius in first, Deacon in second, Papaya Racer in third, just 2.2 seconds behind. And as you say, the more that the first two battle, that might allow Papaya Racer, who's on those good tyres, to come in and see if he can get some of that glory as well, and to push for this third place and maybe even get something higher. But look at this, Levitius and Deacon as they go through the quadruple right-hander. It's so dodgy, and also there'll be a bit of slipstream, but also some dirty air. And as they come through, there's just 3/10 in it as they come to the final two left-handers into the first one. Deacon remains behind Levitius, but then goes on and gets into the slipstream and gets a good exit there as they come on to the start-finish straight. Will they go for a move?
Levitius just let him through. Okay, that's very interesting, Hugh, because yeah, Deacon got a good run, of course, on them soft tyres, but Levitius just let off the throttle and let his teammate through. So I'm very, very surprised by that manoeuvre. But of course, they are teammates. But that was very sporting from Levitius, who's given up the ghost, it seems, for the race win, and he has got Papaya Racing for company as well, just under a second behind actually. So Papaya Racer on the soft tyres right now. He'll be looking to get past Levitius. Will Levitius be so kind or kind enough, sorry, to let his other teammate through? That is the question, Hugh.
Well, I wonder what's happened. Maybe there was a technical issue or something, or maybe it was just the fact that he was on a different tyre and he thought maybe that's the battle he's not going to be able to win.
I've literally just had word in chat that Tuzum, and welcome by the way, Tuzum, he's saying that Lev is getting wheel disconnects, so a really bad time for him to get technical problems, because he was in such a good position, and even though he's on the inferior tyres, I think he still could have defended hard and tried to hold off his teammates in the last 5 minutes of the race. Hopefully he won't get any more technical issues, because he has got Papaya Racer for company, just 7.5 tenths down on him, fully in that slipstream as well, so he'll be closing, and Levitius will not like to be in this position, that's for sure, Hugh.
Yeah, and we can see them coming into lap traffic now as well, with Kuma Bridgens there in 14th, who got well out of the way, but Deacon has now pulled away past them, and we can still see this battle between second and third. There's just a second in it. Hopefully, Levitic's wheel will be working for the rest of the race. We don't want to see these kind of connection issues affect people's races. But there is second and third. Leviticus and Papaya with just a second in it as they go through the field. And it's incredible that in the last 4 minutes of the race or so, we're seeing this wonderful battle for second and third. Will Leviticus be able to hang on to second? We will have to see. And as we go through, VSR Richard is still maintaining that, although his medium tyres are almost away. They're about, I would say, about 90% away, and there's not much fuel left, but probably just enough to keep him going. But I wonder whether he will be able to do any more there. But between second and third, there is now just 1.2 seconds between Leviticus and Papaya Racer. It's the closest battle so far throughout the field.
And Hugh, I just got a comment as well. So we've got a battle for the last place to stay in Tier 1 for next week. So Kennels has caught to the back of Neil then, who currently holds that all-important 11th position. And then we've got Kennels, who has risen up. Well, he's stayed in P12, but he's closed that gap to Racing Neil. And I said this was going to be the all-important position to remain in Tier 1 for next week. And it looks like Kennels, although on the inferior tyres, not much fuel left in the tank either. He's going to have to pull out all the stops if he is going to remain in Tier 1. As it looks like Puma Racing Neil and Vars battling for P10 as well. Neil will be shown the outside line though, but he'll try the old switcheroo and get firmly back into that slipstream as we go into turn number 1 of lap number 32, and he's got the inside line. He's going to move up into P10, so we got late drama at the top and at the back of the grid as well. So I don't know where to keep an eye on here, because Vars is just literally in front of Kennels as well, and yeah, they are going to be fighting tooth and nail to try and stay in the division for next week, Hugh.
My goodness, I think Leviticus, he's got 1.5 second lead, so yes, that battle is kind of easing up. But as you say, in 10th place there for Puma Racing Neil, then Vars is right behind, and Kennels is almost pushing Vars out of the way. But as they come round the hairpin, there they go, and Kennels is just right behind Puma Racing, sorry, Vars Water now, and it's less than 2/10 in it, and Puma Racing Neil goes up into 10th place. He's roughly 1.7 seconds ahead, but Vars and Kennels are pushing and pushing. This is the one to remain in Tier 1, and he's trying and trying, but at the moment it's still about 5, so it's now down to 7/10 between Vars Water and Neil. I think Neil just got a little bit wide on one of those corners, but there's not many laps left to be able to get up into 11th. This is the battle. Let's stay with them as we go to the end of the race, and they come into the final couple of corners here, and Kennels has again closed right up to Vars Water in the Honda. It's the Honda versus the Nissan. The Honda is supposed to be better, but can the Nissan prove its worth here as they go past the start-finish straight and to come into turn 1? It is just 0.3 of a second between them, and they go into the left-hander, coming round now, going out, right out onto those, or actually missing the curbs. They're almost neck and neck.
Kennels on the inside.
He's up.
Oh, he's made it stick! What a fantastic move from Kennels. Sweeps in front of Vars, and Vars, who's been ever present in Tier 1 so far this season, in the drop zone, and he's really going to have to fight it out with Kennels right now, because we are on the last lap of the race. So it's all or nothing between the two drivers. I may need to sweep on board with Deacon as well, unfortunately, guys, because, in fact, he is on another lap. So we're going to quickly go back on board with Kennels and Vars Vartavis, because I'm pretty sure this will be the last lap for them. So Kennels just holding off Vars Vartavis, and Vars Vartavis has got no tyre grip left on them racing medium tyres, and it looks like he's going to lose out here, Hugh, because Kennels in a much better position here with more grip, and the tyres falling off a cliff for Vars as we come around the penultimate corner into the last corner now, and sadly Vars is going to finish in the drop zone with Puma Racing Neil finishing in P10. So Mac in P8, Super Cams in P9, Puma Racing Neil in P10. Kennels gets the all-important P11 ahead of Vars in P12, P13 Whipperman, Puma, Bridgens down into, so Whipperman and Vars into Tier 2 for next week. And Bridgens will go into Tier 1. Tier 2, sorry, bloody hell. As Deacon gets the race win in round 3 at Dragon Trail Gardens. Congratulations to Deacon. Fantastic win for him with Levitius grabbing P2. Just behind his teammate with Papaya Racer grabbing P3. It's a 1, 2 and 3 for Team TNR. So congratulations to VSR Richard and side by side with JDJ. And Richard's just going to finish just in front of JDJ to finish in P4 and 5, and Galara in P6, Wolfie in P7. And wow, what an ending to that race, Hugh. That was ridiculous, to say the least.
That's been an absolute cracker of a race tonight. What an incredible run. I mean, the fact that it was so close all the way through, and strategy definitely played it. But congratulations to all the drivers, but our top 3 have really proved it. And a wonderful win for Deacon there in first place, managing his first win of the series. But wow, an amazing race, and it's great to see how close it was. And there we have Kennels, who had such a busy race with all sorts of issues, managing to stay in Tier 1. So many congratulations to him. But what a race, Sean. That's been brilliant to watch.
Indeed, yes. So I'm going to quickly confirm the race results. But if the top 3 can meet us in the waiting room of the Discord, we'll get to interview the top 3 drivers for today, and we're going to be full of conversation, that is for sure. But yeah, Deacon gets his first race win of the season, which is absolutely fantastic for him, with Levitius having to settle for P2. Then it was a Papaya Racer grabbing the last step on the podium for P3. Then VSR Richard gets P4 ahead of his teammate JDJ in P5, with Galara grabbing P6, also in VSR, with VSR Wolfie in P7. Then it's Puma Racing Mac in P8. We got Super Cams, who grabs an excellent P9 for him. He will remain in Tier 1 for him, so super happy for him. With top 10 finish for Puma Racing Neil, and Kennels getting the all-important 11th position to remain in Tier 1 for next week, ahead of Vartavis, TNR's Whipperman, and Puma Bridgens, that will get relegated into Tier 2 for next week. Oh wow, that was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Brilliant race all the way through. And just the fact some horrific conditions to drive in, and they did so well. The racing was so close, and great sportsmanship. They were really good, clean overtakes, really good to watch. And yeah, it's really showing the talents tonight. And for Tier 1, that has been gripping from start to finish. And we look forward to interviewing the top 3. There'll be plenty of great questions, I'm sure, for our top 3, who'll be quite relieved that one is over. But they did a fantastic job. Okay, so first we are going to have... Oh, hello? Oh, okay. Somebody just joined by mistake there. But yeah, we're going to go and interview first Papaya Racer, who finished in P3 today. So let me drag him in now. And yeah, congratulations, Papaya Racer, on 3rd position today. How are you feeling? Oh, hold on 1 second. He's gone. Hold on 1 second. Few technical issues. Papaya Racer, can you hear us? No, he's dropped out. Oh God. Will we go on to Levitius in second?
We can do. Let me see if we. Hold on. Let me try and get him back in. If not, I might be able to go into the waiting room instead. Let me. Okay, Papaya Racer, can you hear me? Okay, we're having some technical issues at the moment, guys. You might have to unmute yourself, Papaya.
Oh, I'm here, sorry.
Ah, here you. There we go. How's it going, Papaya Racer? You got P3 today. Congratulations to you. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, feeling good. It was a tough race. I think I'm just happy that the team got the 1, 2, 3. I think that was the important thing. And yeah, chuffed to finish third. I think I've been struggling kind of in the wet in the preparation. So yeah, I was very happy that I was able to hang on and do relatively well.
Yeah, I mean it was a great performance. We couldn't keep up in the commentary because there was a big fight between obviously you three TNR drivers, and it was it was just very gripping stuff, to be honest. Was there a particular strategy that you decided to go for? Maybe you practiced it before the race, or was it something that you kind of had to sort of pay close attention to with the weather and just sort of go from there?
Look, in the week, we're doing quite a bit of preparation, talking about what we feel the ideal strategy was. I think it took us quite a while to settle on what we thought would be the quickest strat. And I think what worked for us in the end was doing the sort of 2-stopper on the dry tires at the end. That's something that we did plan beforehand, and I'm glad that was the right strategy in the end. I think it showed. So yeah, we've been working on that, and we thought that that would be the quickest way around, and I think that was the case.
Yeah, it definitely works wonders for you. I was also interested as well because towards the end of the race, of course, I don't know if you heard, but Levitius apparently had a few technical issues with his wheel, and that kind of resulted in him losing the race lead. But he was very, very close to the back of Levitius, but then he just pulled that gap slightly. So I just wondered if was there team orders going into this race, or was it just the tyre tread just kind of falling off the cliff towards the end?
Yeah, the latter for sure. I think I made the choice kind of in race to risk it on the softs at the end, knowing that it maybe wasn't the ideal tire to be on. But I thought I'd risk it to try and see if I could, still stand a chance of winning, because I also kind of knew Diki was on the mediums in that middle stint, and he was actually or the second last stint, and he was keeping me quite well. So I thought, I have to kind of roll the dice on the softs. And then a few laps from the end, the tread was getting low, and I thought, you know what, it's all about, I guess, protecting the 1, 2, 3 at this point. So just being as gentle as possible on that front right, especially. So yeah, it just became a race of getting over the line, making sure I don't lose too much time to the cars behind.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and P3 is an excellent position to finish in, of course, as well. Hugh, have you got any question for our third place finisher?
Yes, it's good to see Papaya and a fantastic performance there to get third place on the podium. The conditions were absolutely horrendous in the first few laps and even kind of midway through. How did you find the spray and also the changing conditions when you decided to go from wets and intermediates onto the dry tyre? What were the conditions like to drive in today?
Look, it was pretty much tricky throughout. There wasn't a lot of the race with a fully dry track, so it was kind of always evolving, different braking markers every time into corners each lap. So yeah, definitely wasn't easy. And yeah, I think it was just testament to our preparation that we did that kind of prepared us for all different scenarios and all of that. But yeah, I can guarantee it was stressful, especially when it came to switching from the wets onto the softs, knowing when was the right time. I think I made pretty much the right move with that, and it gave me quite a bit of time. But you still have to then be careful of the entry to the pits or the exit of the pits when you're on the softs. When you're coming to pit again, you have to care about all of that. So yeah, very tricky. So yeah, glad to have not hit any walls or got any penalties throughout, which was definitely the aim. And yeah, glad I came through with all of that.
Well, many congratulations. A well-deserved third place and an excellent performance. Well done indeed.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I second that as well, Chaz. Do you prefer Chaz or Papaya Racer?
I do prefer Chaz, I won't lie. So if maybe you could remember it for next time.
Chaz, yeah, no problem. That makes it easier for me.
Yeah, you can definitely call me by that. I've been thinking of a PSN name change to have that actual name there, but yeah. I would appreciate that. Thanks.
It makes it easier for me because I'm very bad on pronunciations, as you've probably heard. So, so yeah, it certainly makes it a lot easier for me. But yeah, congratulations on P3 and Interlagos coming up next. So, how do you think your chances are for next week?
Look, it'll be like every race has been so far, very tough. I think it's difficult to know who will be quick. So I think we'll just put in the prep throughout this week. I think Interlagos is a more, I'm not going to say traditional circuit, which I'm hoping I'll fare pretty well on. So yeah, I'll make sure I prepare well for that as well and give my best going into that. I feel pretty confident. I'm not sure what the weather conditions will be in that one, but I think ready for all conditions at this point.
Excellent stuff. Well, fingers crossed to you. I wish you all the best for next week, but you can now at least chill out and relax. And we look forward to seeing you next week, Chaz.
Cool. Thanks a lot. And again, well done also to Deke and Levitius. I mean, brilliant drive from them both. And yeah, glad we got to fill out the podium.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Yeah, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to speak to Levitius then, who grabbed second position. Levitius, can you hear me? Hello.
Can hear you crystal clear.
Crystal clear, loud and clear, definitely. Levitius, I got a feel for you really, because me and Hugh, we didn't know what was happening really in commentary, but Tuzem kind of filled us in. But, how are you feeling on second position and, in general, how do you think your race went?
To be honest with you, the race was going perfectly. The first stint, was quite challenging to say the least because we were driving on inters on a dry track, trying to get them to last until the next rain shower, which was very challenging because they were very marginal on when they were going to let go. So honestly, the strategy went really well into the heavy rain. I just maintained the gap until it started drying out, and then the Chaz and Deke started catching up a little bit. But overall, the strategy went perfectly. Unfortunate about the wheel DC. It just happens sometimes when I hit a curb really hard, and there's a lot of curbs you have to ride around here. So it shouldn't be a problem for Interlagos and most other tracks going forward because they're quite flat. But I'm really happy for the team. It's honestly just insane that we came 1, 2, 3 in the Nissan around this track because, in my opinion, it was a Honda playground here. So I'm really happy about it. And yeah, what can I say? Yeah.
I have to ask you, Lev, because obviously, we're good friends and we talk a lot. But did the race go differently to how you practiced it?
So most of the time I was prepared to do a soft stint at the beginning and then jump onto the wets, but I'm messaging in our WhatsApp group, guys, are we gonna go inters, then softs, then wets? Are we gonna go inters to wets? This is a minute. This is just a minute before the race starts. I'm trying to jump into a comms with them to see what everyone thinks, but I don't have a microphone. So yeah, it was quite frantic. It was interesting. The weather was quite different, so I did an extra lap on the wets when I didn't need to. So it was quite challenging, but I liked the nature being on our caught on our toes a little bit. But yeah, it was mostly the same after the heavy rain shower. The first part was quite a nightmare though.
Yeah, and to be honest, I saw a moment from you, Lev, where certainly on the slick tyres, obviously the outside of the track being very wet still, very greasy, the curbs a bit of a nightmare. And I saw a couple of moments where you maybe forgot that that part of the circuit's still very slippery, was how was your nerves taking some of these chicanes and corners, because for me, I think it would have been a brown pants moment, I think.
To be honest with you, trying to ride the curb in turn 3 was the tester, because you didn't lose that much time going over it, and you make a straight exit out of the corner. So I used to lose about a tenth or so to Chaz when we were doing that. That was my gauge to see how wet the curbs were, because I didn't want to touch the curbs anywhere else. So I was just being careful. That's my little tester point there. And once I knew I could go over that curb without having any loss of sudden grip, or loss of grip suddenly, then I knew that I could start using the curbs on the exit. So it was a little sketchy, but it was all calculated. Yeah.
Fair play. Yeah. A man with nerves of steel, it seems, Lev. But Hugh, have you got any questions for our second place finisher?
Oh, fantastic performance, Leviticus. We were watching you pull away at the start. The strategy definitely played a major part, but in those early conditions when it was very, very wet and things were changing all the time. Also, what was it like to drive? Because it seemed to dry out very, very quickly, and then changing onto the right tyre was absolutely crucial. But
Yes.
what were the actual conditions like to drive out there today?
There was one curveball that we actually didn't mention yet, is that the wind direction was an issue, but the wind speed as well. We had up to 10 meters per second wind, which is extremely strong. So you would feel that you had like so much grip going into the headwind, but then on the tailwind, which was the most of the mid to high speed corners, the quadruple right-hander, for example, we had almost no grip. So we had to be very careful with sliding wide. It was like that for about 10 minutes of the heavy rain section of the race. So we had to adjust our braking markers quite drastically into turn one, for example, and into the final corners where you could brake so much later. It was interesting. It kept me on my toes, but we managed to just survive, basically, here.
Well, it was very exciting to watch, and many congratulations for second place tonight. Thoroughly deserved, and I'm sure as we go into Interlagos next week, it's going to be just as close. And maybe you never know, there might be the same kind of weather conditions, because sometimes it does rain in Interlagos. But well done for a great second place.
Thank you so much, and shout out to the TNR boys for the 1, 2, 3. Amazing result, guys.
Back over to you, Sean.
Oh, sorry, I just I had the microphone muted there by mistake, so my apologies. But yeah, congratulations to you, Lev, and we do know that it doesn't rain at Interlagos apparently in Gran Turismo 7. So, but yes. Yeah, well done to Lev for second place, and wish him all the best in the next round. So we're going to get on board with our race winner then. It is Deacon. Deacon, how, well, one, can you hear me? Secondly, how are you feeling after grabbing top honours?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you,
well,
yeah.
I can tell you that race was very stressful, especially at the beginning, because I wasn't expecting, well, none of us were expecting really to start on the intermediates, because the strategy we planned was to start on softs, so that was a curveball at the beginning, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was. Oh, I can hear a bit of feedback. Have you got the stream on?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure why I can hear myself. But yeah. So you got the race win. It was a frantic battle in the top three. Did you think that your strategy really paid out?
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't the strategy we planned on doing. Like I said, because of the unexpected rain at the beginning. But all in all, it worked out for me at least, because I won the race. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And yeah.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Hugh, have you got any questions for our race winner?
Yeah, many congratulations on the win tonight, Deacon. That was a fantastic race to watch, and the strategy that you did at the end really made it happen, because you came right out behind Levitius, and of course it was just like half a second, and there was a great battle in the last 10 minutes. It must have been wonderfully exciting. I know you were saying it was a bit stressful, but what's your way of coping in those kind of situations when there's fractions in it, because you showed that you were able to drive away at the end?
Yeah, no, for sure. I knew that Liam and Chaz didn't they didn't fill the tank on first stop, so I knew that I had like a margin with the fuel, so I knew that I had to put some more fuel in, and I already had some fuel. So I knew it would be kind of close. And then when Liam came out in front of me, I wasn't expecting it, but I knew that I had fresh tires. So I knew I could at least give Liam a battle towards the end. But unfortunately, I heard he had some wheel issues or whatever it may be. So yeah, disappointed it couldn't have been a more exciting battle towards the end, but I'm happy either way with the win. So and yeah, happy with the 1, 2, 3, 4 TNR.
That's fantastic. No, well-deserved win, and it was great to watch, great to commentate on, and well done for finishing first tonight. And in terms of going to Interlagos, do you think you'll be up there again? Are you looking forward to the race next week?
Oh yes, definitely for sure. I think Interlagos is one of my better tracks, and like you guys said, there's no weather, so I won't have to be stressing as much about the curbs and and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to a dry race, and yeah, I'll do my best, and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on the race win tonight, and back over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you. So I second that as well. Congratulations on the race win there. And you've just mentioned that you feel like you're very strong at Interlagos. So do you think you'll be able to put one over on Levitius? As you mentioned that he had technical problems with his wheel. So do you think you'll be able to beat him fair and square for next week?
I would say it will be very close. Again, there's a lot of strategy involved, but I think it would be close. It would be a close race between the two of us. If there's no mistakes and whatever. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you. You've been very, very consistent throughout the championship. It seems like you've been going step by step. It was P3, P2. Now, of course, the race winner. So massive congratulations to you, Deacon. And good luck for next week. And can't wait to see you on track.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, so that is the interviews done for round 3, it was great to hear the insight of the drivers there, Hugh. Really trying to sort of hear their personalities and their sort of insight into the races. Definitely gives us a good idea of perhaps their thoughts going into next week.
Certainly. Some of them seemed a little bit more stressed than others, but they all seemed quite calm overall, to be fair. But no, it was really good to see what their strategy was like and how they were coping, and they're really taking this to the best level they can. But what an enthralling race it was, and this championship is getting very, very close. I can't wait for next week's race. I think it's just fantastic. And you see, we might not have rain in Brazil, but it's a great track and the drivers are very strong there. Hopefully we'll have many more great battles to watch and to be able to talk about. But a fantastic race tonight, and well done to Kennels, who made it into that 11th place so that he stays in Tier 1. That was a great comeback drive, but really a great performance by the drivers tonight, and it was really thrilling to be able to watch that. Well done to everyone who took part tonight.
Yes, well, speaking of next week then, so we are at Interlagos as mentioned, and certainly a circuit full of tradition. We've definitely witnessed many a great battle, particularly in F1. There's been F1 championships actually won and lost there as well. What are your thoughts on Interlagos, Hugh?
I really like it, especially from GT7, because it's really tricky. The Senna S, even just getting a braking point for that so that you can get a good exit out of there, that's a big challenge. But for a very short circuit, it's got really tricky corners, and it means that everything could hopefully be quite bunched up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the drivers cope with that and how these GT2 cars also cope, because you've got to go over a lot of curves, and those cars might not necessarily like that, especially when they don't have that much grip. But it's going to be very exciting to watch, and I just let's roll on Monday night, and we'll see who can come up top next week. But it's going to be good. Interlagos, it's always a great atmosphere, and I'm sure everybody watching will be thrilled to watch the race in a week's time.
Indeed, yes. So make sure you do tune in for the round 4 of the GT500 Championship, the 24th of February, 8:45 Eastern Africa time. So definitely look out for us there. And also go and check out our socials if you haven't already done so. It's at Sim Motorsport Association. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, of course, and YouTube. And we're looking to do some Twitch streaming soon as well. But of course, YouTube, our primary location to find us. And make sure you do hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. We've been trying to chase down that 100 figure, so it will be much appreciated if you could help out with the YouTube algorithm and get us that little bit closer to monetization. So definitely go and do that, please. And also go and get your e-license for any future MSA championships. In fact, we have got the MSA Cup Championship following on from season 1. So the links are in the Discord on how to get your e-license, but that will also enable you to perform in FIA related races, whether it's some sort of World Series or even international races. So definitely more details to follow soon. Okay, so yeah, Hugh, it's been an absolutely amazing race. I mean, every race we've had in this SMA Championship's been absolutely phenomenal, and it's good to see the championship as well really wide open, because we've had 3 different race winners in the 3 races that we've had in the SMA. So it's very tight at the top. And yeah, I say bring it on, because Interlagos, can we get a 4th new winner, perhaps?
Well, you never know. It's been wonderful to watch, and very close. And I think when they add rain, it certainly makes for a sensational race, because they've got to. It just throws the strategy out, isn't it? They've got to really try everything they can. They've got to think on their feet. But no, well done to the drivers, because especially Deacon with that win, because he got that strategy absolutely right. And that brought him into the race at the end, along with Levitius and Papaya Racer. But yep, if it can be anywhere like that, it's going to be fascinating. But no, really looking forward to next week. And yeah, can't wait to get commentating again on what is a thrilling series. The SMA is a fantastic series to watch. And yes, I'm sure it's going to get better and better.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Hugh. And yeah, thank you to everyone that's tuned in today. And I was meaning to ask how the other tier drivers got on today. So if you're still in chat, let us know how you got on, whether or not you got the race win. Maybe it was a promotion, or maybe it was a bad day at the office. But let us know how you got on. And yeah, we obviously look forward to new drivers coming into Tier 1 for next week as well. So there will be 3 new drivers, or perhaps maybe existing drivers from previous rounds. Who knows? I suppose we will find out on the Discord. It will be updated in a few days' time. So definitely look out for that one. Robin has just mentioned that he grabbed a P2. So Robin will be up into Tier 2 for next week. So congratulations to you, Robin. Yeah, just scrolling through the chat now. Anyone that I might have missed out on, yeah, we had Whipperman in here, unlucky to be down into Tier 2 for next week. But yeah, we had Sir Mags in here, Ghost Rider. Thank you very much for the kind words there. And yeah, to all of you in chat, we absolutely appreciate all the support we get in this channel, and yeah, we're looking to grow this amazing community we have at SMA. So if you would like to get involved in the races as well, I do believe, and Robin, you might have to confirm with me, but I do believe that there are still entries available to get into Tier 6. So if you feel like you can cut it with the big boys and girls, then do sign up to our Discord at Sim Motorsport Association for that one. Captain Slowly got P1. He got the race win in Pool 2. So Captain Slowly, you will be on this broadcast next week then for Tier 1. Huge congratulations. That's massive. That is massive. Hugh, as I say, it's been an amazing race. It's an absolute pleasure to commentate with you. And speaking of your channel, Hugh, have you got anything coming up in the near future?
I'm hoping to be streaming later this week on GT7. I'm going to try some of the races, probably race A and race B, which is race A is the Ford Escort Cosworth this week on GT7. So I'm hoping to stream some of that, and also the Red Bull Ring in GT4. That should be a bit of fun. So that will be coming up. It will probably be Thursday. I might even try the time trial as well. But yes, always looking for people to interview. So a wee like and subscribe would be amazing. But it's been fantastic to commentate alongside you tonight, Sean, on what has been an epic race.
Well, I'll definitely have to check you out, and make sure you do go and check out Hugh Hatchick on YouTube. Amazing podcaster, and he gets to interview all the big GT7 streamers, like your Eries, like your Super GTs, and the Keys of the world. So definitely go check him out, and he's also a very good driver as well. I'll look forward to seeing you on the racetrack, Hugh. And
thanks very much.
No worries, mate. And also as well, I'm a Twitch streamer, so if you're on Twitch, go and check me out. I'm Flawed Genius Gaming. I do literally everything from GT7 to ACC to AMS2 and to pretty much every game. I'm a big gamer, so I do a lot of story games and sports games, etc. So it would be much appreciated if you did check me out as well. But yeah, that does draw the broadcast to a close then. And and just to respond to you, Robin, so he said that the entries are open, so if you do want to get yourself involved in the SMA, we've still got 9 races left in the championship, and there will be prizes for the top 3 drivers as well. So it's not too late to enter, certainly there's also chances to move up tiers as well if you feel like you're faster than tier 6 as well. So do get yourselves involved. But it's been an amazing race, and full of drama as always in the SMA. And definitely go and check us out next week, the 24th of February at 8:45 Eastern Africa time for round 4 at Interlagos. But until then, it's a good night from Hugh.
Good night indeed, and good night from Sean.
Yes, and it's a good night from me. Take care, stay safe, and good night.